resolving the numerous problems in Taxila amicably, Ashoka earned widespread appreciation from the people. Success irritated Sushima, who wished to remove Ashoka from the scene. Observing the tension, Radhe Gupt proposed that Ashoka be sent to Kalinga for 2 years on a secret mission for watching activities being done, if any, against the Mauryan Dynasty. After successfully resolving the crisis at Taxila caused by the malfunctioning administration of Prince Sushima, Ashoka was deputed there. He demonstrated remarkable leadership by tactfully calming the unrest and restoring peace in the region. The people of Taxila wholeheartedly appreciated his efforts and admired his fair and composed approach to governance. His effective and considerate administration earned praise from both the king and the councillor. However, this success deeply irritated Sushima. Feeling threatened of growing reputation, he developed hostility toward him and wished to remove him from the political scene. Observing Sushima rising resentment, it was considered prudent to keep Ashoka away for some time so that the tensions and delusions in Sushima's mind might subside. To ease this strained situation, it was decided to keep the two princes apart for a period. Meanwhile, the Mauryan court had begun to suspect that certain forces within the realm were secretly attempting to undermine the stability of the Mauryan dynasty, though their identity had not yet come to light. It was believed that the state of Kalinga could be won. Therefore, Ashoka was sent to Kalinga for 2 years under the pretext of exile as a punishment. In reality, this was a confidential mission known only to the king and the councillor. The plan was intended to achieve two objectives simultaneously: to reduce the growing hostility between the princes and to uncover any hidden forces plotting against the Mauryan dynasty. Ashoka was instructed to live in the attire of an ordinary citizen in order to safeguard his identity and carry out the mission discreetly. Ashoka gladly accepted his exile for 2 years and began wandering across Kalinga as an ordinary citizen. No one could recognize him as a prince. He moved from place to place in an attempt to uncover the suspicious activities being carried out against the Mauryan dynasty, but for a long time he was not successful in achieving his objective. At the same time, Princess Karuvaki of Kalinga had also been entrusted by her father, the king, with the task of searching for and capturing the mysterious culprit who was secretly moving around the city. Almost a year passed, yet they never crossed paths. However, one morning fate brought them face to face while boarding a boat at a riverbank. Both possessed striking personalities, and an unspoken attraction arose between them beneath the surface. Neither spoke a word, but they silently observed each other. Each of them still carried a sense of suspicion and guilt, believing the other might be the person they were searching for. At times, their movements resembled a subtle game of thief and police, yet neither confronted the other openly. They could not raise a direct accusation against one another due to the lack of clear evidence. One day in the marketplace, a group of miscreants attempted to harass the princess. At that critical moment, Ashoka stepped forward and courageously rescued her from the difficult situation. This incident washed away their mutual suspicions, and trust gradually developed between them. Over time, their closeness deepened and blossomed into a profound love. Eventually, they decided to marry and completed their marriage through a simple and private ceremony. Thereafter, they often traveled together and spent their days happily, discovering the strength of their companionship. As the 2 years of exile were nearing their end, the king of Kalinga came to know about their relationship. He became extremely furious and ordered that Ashoka be captured. The exact reason for his anger remains uncertain. It may have been due to political rivalry or fear of Mauryan influence. However, Ashoka managed to escape from the attempt to arrest him and quietly left the kingdom of Kalinga. King Ashoka returned home to the delight of both the king and the counselor. However, the rivalry between Sushima and Ashoka soon resurfaced. Sushima again attempted to remove Ashoka from the political scene by sending him away to his mother's abode. Being well aware of Sushima's hostile intentions, Ashoka took every precaution to protect himself, otherwise, he might have met the same tragic fate that had earlier befallen his mother. At the same time, Ashoka was determined to deal with Sushima, the man he believed was responsible for his Motherairo trademark symbol as death, through careful strategy and tact. Ultimately, through political maneuvering, Ashoka succeeded in removing Sushima from the scene and rose to become the emperor of the Mauryan Dynasty. Despite this conflict, Ashoka showed generosity by appointing some brothers of Sushima, those who displayed a cooperative and positive attitude to important governorships. At the age of 26, Ashoka formally ascended the throne in the customary manner. Radhe Gupta was appointed as the head of the Council of Ministers. Ashoka's intention was to preserve and govern the vast empire he had inherited from his father Bindusara with peace, stability, and dignity, rather than to pursue further expansion. After assuming the throne of the Mauryan dynasty, Ashoka adopted policies aimed at improving the welfare of his people through efficient and just governance. He introduced a new administrative team to closely supervise the functioning of the state and ensure that the system worked properly. Along with consolidating his own rule, he also made sincere efforts to establish cordial relations with neighboring kingdoms, assuring them of peaceful coexistence and cooperation. In his efforts to build a harmonious and prosperous state, Ashoka ruled through a centralized policy based on dharma, intended to maintain peace and harmony throughout the kingdom. His administration widely propagated the principles of dharma to create awareness among the people. This was done through public announcements as well as by engraving edicts on rocks and pillars across the empire. Dharma, as promoted by Ashoka, emphasized compassion and moral values in social life. It encouraged people to practice honesty, truthfulness, mercy, and non-violence towards all living beings, including animals. This ideology gradually spread throughout the empire and began to bring a positive and harmonious change in society. Ashoka spent nearly 4 years putting these ideological principles into practical governance. Gradually, their beneficial effects became visible, and the citizens of the empire experienced greater peace and contentment. During the 4-year period, he repeatedly urged the king of Kalinga to release his wife Karuvaki, the Kingairo trademark symbol, as daughter. However, the king never relented. When Ashoka reached the age of 30, he grew increasingly furious. After receiving a signal from Karuvaki, he marched with a large army and encircled the capital of Kalinga, intending to compel the king to accept his request and release Karuvaki without imposing any conditions. When the request was not complied with, Ashoka surrounded the capital of Kalinga and imposed strict restrictions so that no movement was allowed unless his demand was accepted. The king of Kalinga initially paid little attention to this action, and the crisis continued to escalate. Finally, after 12 days, the king surrendered, requesting that he be allowed to retire to the forest to perform penance. Although the situation appeared to be leading toward a full-fledged war, remarkably not a single human life was lost. The administration of the state was entrusted to the Kingairo trademark symbol as eldest son, who continued as ruler. Ashoka, having achieved his objective, departed with Karuvaki without annexing or claiming any part of the Kalinga kingdom. Considering this overall picture, the conventional belief that hundreds of thousands of people perished in the conflict appears to be a misconception or an exaggeration.